We're just gonna try and play it safe. I hope this is gonna... We do actually outspeed. That's beautiful. Let's bar reduce. Oh no. This is not good. This is not good. So we do have to try... Okay. We're just gonna get rid of that front. I think this should be okay. Let's get rid of that front first. And we're gonna hit that Raok a little bit. The thing is, like, Kaki obviously doesn't crit. But putting in Vigor isn't doing, like, as much as we would like. Oh no, and now the Raok has his team up, right? Okay. Okay. Stop. Stop it, dude. Stop it. No violent proc unless we crit. Oh, this is gonna be a 1v1. Okay, we need to thread right here. Get the ammo break. Beautiful. Gets the ammo break though. So do we outspeed? We do outspeed with the speed buff. That's why I kept the second skill, obviously. So now that the first 2 weeks on my beginner account have been done and we've pretty much finished all of the PvE, it's time for me to actually do what I enjoy the most in Summoner's War, and it's PvP. Now just as a little disclaimer, obviously I've been completing PvE beforehand as well. I just kind of like didn't focus on it at all, and it's still by far like just a thing that I do to gather some additional rewards for me to actually craft some more runes and grind even further. Like seriously, if you're a beginner, don't focus too heavily on PvP. It's only really gonna frustrate you after a while. Because there's people that have like 10-year-old accounts that just kind of stomp on you regardless how good and how much you've been grinding. But I'd say maybe like 2 or 3 months down the road, you can actually like fully compete with them. Until then, it's just for us to try and snag as many rewards as possible and be gimmicky about which offenses we're using. Now let's start off with talking about Arena. Now, as you guys can see, this is gonna be the defense that I will be using to try and make it into the inter-server battles. I think all in all, doing Arena is by far like the least important thing you can do. You pretty much only really need to care about finishing at the end of the week, and even then, like, you get like an extra 25 crystals or something like that. This is really not going to make a massive impact on your account. What you should be focusing on, instead of like an AD, clearing out your wings as fast as possible and just getting as many scrolls and like additional rewards through the actual like Arena shop. As you guys can see over here, just from doing my rivals mostly, I actually ended up like maxing out on most of my rewards. I don't think buying the elemental scrolls is too beneficial early on. Like, there is just too many units that you want to get across the board. So basically at that point, you're buying mystical scrolls at a premium price. Now when it comes to offenses, you can be very creative. Now I want to talk to you guys about 4 very standard and common offenses that you can start off with. Now the easiest to obtain and kind of like simplest to build is going to be this one that I will be running. You pretty much only require having a Lushen, and as you guys can see, like, mine isn't skilled. Mine has pretty mediocre runes and it's slow as You don't really need him to be fast, because I have Akhamamir who is currently on one of my faster Swift sets. I'm able to actually get to like a plus 200 set. Funny thing is, for that I would actually need to put on 6 Swift runes, which I'm obviously not gonna do. Yeah, that's just fever things, I guess. Basically all I really require is having a Miriam, which increases the efficiency of attack buff, and then it doesn't really matter how she's ruined. I just put like a bunch of fight sets on. In a perfect world, I would have like a speed lead with another few fight sets. I think picking up like a water ninja Susano could be another option, just to get like an extra few more speed points on your Akhamamir, and then you're just kind of like wiping things like that. Let me show you how this offense works. It's fairly straightforward, and this is going to be what's going to help me just swipe through my wings within the first like few weeks. Another offense I want to talk to you guys about is going to be those speed lead into armor breaker and stripper team comps. Now the main issue that you're gonna encounter is that it's actually kind of hard to get like AoE strippers that are viable and free to play. Pretty much the only one that I can think of that's actually somewhat good would be the Fire Fairy, or maybe the Fire Puree. I kind of didn't get lucky on that one on my own account, so I can't replicate those team comps just yet, but pretty much all you would need for that would be a decently ruined Galleon, and then just kind of like a double AoE team comp after that. Right now what you see me do is run the Akhamamir, by far the best like free to play 24 speed lead, so you could incorporate that and just kind of cleave your way through that if you don't want to run Lushens. Alright, let's have a look. This is more up my speed. We didn't even need a stripper, which is definitely like on par, because she's unskilled and you definitely do need some skill ups for this one. But let's just have a look. We're gonna go for the Moth Crush, and this one-shots 3 out of 4 units. What more do you want? And then you can also go for those HP snipe team comps, which, as you guys can see, I got extremely lucky and pulled the Bulwark as one of my first net 5s actually. Now what I like about him is that he doesn't require skill ups at all to like actually do what you want him to do. Like, his first skill barely gets any benefits. So for that HP snipe, You can run him unskilled, which is extremely good for early game. What you want to pair him up with is going to be like a Molong, an Icarus, stuff like that, which all are kind of hard to obtain as a beginner. What you can also run is pick him up with an Arnold. Basically what that team comp is going to do if you tune it well is you're going to be able to turn the fight into a 3v4, which is also going to help you quite a lot in your wings. Now the main downside to this team comp is going to be that it's kind of slow. Like unless you are stacking all of those units together where you get to one-shot 2 units instead of just 1. So let's say you're running Bulwark, Icarus, Molong, and then the Arnold. It's gonna be very slow, but very safe at the same time. So if you stack it with that Riley, which we all get during the actual Fever event right now, it's gonna be like virtually impossible that they're all gonna die. And you're gonna be able to like really swipe through your wings, even though it's gonna be rather slow. Cleanse as well with that Riley and also my Marth. I like the CDR from my Marth, so let's have a look. Barely gets the kill. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. There's some other options as well, I'd say though. So we're just gonna go for the Deadly Wave over here, get our first kill. Alright, so we're gonna go for that Rika over here. Nice absolute 0. Dude, he has so much control, but that's again a dead Rika right here. And from here on out, we don't have any cooldowns on my Arnold again. She's pretty squishy compared to the other ones. Gonna be another execute. 14k. Survives just barely one more time. Okay. And on the last note, when it comes to slow, there's another team comp that basically just revolves around picking up a Tessarian, which I do not have just now. I'm already buying more Ifrit pieces, but you can only pick up half an Ifrit every single week. So right now, I just finished getting myself that one Akhamamir, but we're gonna be able to hopefully get another one coming up next week, and hopefully it's gonna be either a Tessarian or a Theomars. Kind of basically do the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Tessarian is just a little bit better in those bruiser team comps. You're running a Tessarian with a Vigor and a Riley. Fairly straightforward. You can run him as a leader skill. You get the 100% resistance on all of your supports. And then as a last pick, they're pretty much just like left with your own creativity. I'll probably go for my Camilla. Something like that. I think Sia could be a very good like bruiser unit as well. Just to like get a little bit of benefits from the attack bar manipulation and still have an additional ammo breaker. I think that could be very interesting. Another team comp that I will be trying out like a few weeks down the road. So what I like about this offense is that you are able to just draft it into people that definitely do have like way stronger accounts. As you guys can see, like right there, this draft and this defense looks like from a guy that definitely has been around for quite some time. At least it's very meta. I think maybe the only one that I would switch out in this one would be that Chivu. But at the end of the day, it's still like a nice setup for the rest of his team comp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like try and set up a little bit initially. And then once we do have our first kill, this is basically just like an auto like GG. You can pretty much just leave it open. You can do like the auto farm thing like you would if you were to farm Kairas with this defense. Because at the end of the day, you got Tessarian with his passive, you get the Camilla passive, and then obviously the Riley and the Vigor, who both are just like pure tanks. There is no way that those two are going to die. And at that point, you can just kind of like leave it be. I'm going to focus onto that Chivu, but this is basically good to go. So if you do have some time, it's not as fast as like Lushen offenses. It's not as fast as just cleaving it with like a Galleon plus a Stripper. But it is probably going to get as close to 100% consistent as you will. Yep, so that's about it when it comes to all of the arena offense options that I would recommend. Like I said, the first few weeks aren't going to be too successful for you regardless, so I wouldn't focus too heavily on arena offenses. It's really only going to be like an endgame thing. The rewards are kind of lackluster unless you are talking about the shop, which pretty much everyone gets to max out as long as you have one consistent offense. So hopefully, like maybe one out of those 4 does look like it's going to be interesting for you. It really depends on which net 5s you pull, and I kind of just got a bunch of like B tier supports, so it's not too great. Now when it comes to guild content defenses, there's a few more options that you have. Now again, I want to start off by talking about the easiest to obtain like defenses. And they're still very hard for me to obtain as well right now because, again, it's usually all revolving around if. Let's start off by talking about the one defense that I have fully built on my account right now, which is a Carcano, Vigor, and Royd. I think the Royd is kind of optional. There's a few other options you can go for. I think like having an extra stripper, which usually is an LD. There isn't that many like good wind strippers out there. Be also very beneficial for this defense. You can also swap out the Vigor for an Orion, so you do have that stripper. I'm going to go for the Fly. I hope that we have enough damage to kill that Siri over here. Dude, this is like a freaking 3-week-old account and we're just one-shotting stuff like that. That's just gorgeous. What I did choose to go for instead was that Kamun Orion and then a Wind Asura, who just recently got buffed, and he's an insane burst unit, and also he does have a lot of attack bar control. So if you did pull him, I think he's also like one of the best options for net 4 defenses. And then the other 2 defenses are extremely good when you do pick up the right Ifrits, which right now I only pulled the Wind one, which is amazing for PvE, but not so great for defense. But let's say this one, where you have the red slime right now, being Tessarian, is actually extremely potent as well. Like, basically the combo between Tessarian and Riley is just insane. I think also a Mo Long would be very nice instead of the Camilla in this situation as well. Or maybe, like on my account, I think a Bulwark would be very good here as well. I guess the idea of this defense could be like, just first of all, it has like a lot of sustain, and then also technically destroy on Camillas usually. And then what's also nice is that the sustain, obviously, like, those 2 damage dealers aren't gonna die right away. So as you guys can see, even though I'm getting a bunch of procs right here, that Tessarian is far from dying. And then there's like a little bit of control, and also like one of the most important debuffs being Oblivion on the Tessarian, which right now he is on Revenge. So you kind of always gotta be careful when hitting him. Though, yep. There's just 2 Revenges popping off. No procs from that Tessarian. So far we've gotten extremely unlucky with that defense. Just kind of like trying to wait it out. No Revenges from the Tessarian when I don't have Will Runes. So yeah, he's getting kind of lucky. Beautiful Violent proc here. Imagine pulling that one on a defense broken target. If I didn't have immunity from my Chassoon, this fight would have looked a lot different. But that Tessarian keeps revenging though, so I gotta give him to that. Okay, 3 procs, and that passive just helps so much, as you guys can see. Like, he takes so little damage, gets sustained from 2 units. Pretty nice. And again, 1 proc away from dying over here. Heal up a little bit. I have 3 turn Oblivion right now. Missed a crit with the Tessarian. I got really lucky right here. And here is my kill window. Nice res. Last hit was the only one that landed. I gotta heal up here a little bit. And this should be an almost dead Tessarian. Beautiful. And then for this one, this would be like one of the best setups for Tessarian for early game. Now obviously this one does require you to pick up, again, 2 more supports. But like I mentioned, like Riley is going to be good with both of them. So if you don't want to build up like a Tessarian defense, you can still pick up a Riley instead of that Chassoon. But just technically, like, this defense still messes me up on my endgame account. Basically, the Ophelia is going to make it that you kind of need to focus her a little bit too much. And then if you have all of them on Violent, just so much kill pressure despite you pretty much only picking up 1 damage dealer. I think one of the main downsides to this one is, again, it doesn't have many strippers. But as far as I'm concerned, there's just always like 1 flaw with every defense. What I like about this defense is that there is like barely any uptime onto that Theomars. As you guys can see right here, he has Oblivion, immunity and also attack buff. And now the Ophelia has the 3 turns threat state. So you usually are going to end up hitting that Ophelia, and there is a bunch of shields going up, that Riley, also technically that Chassoon. They just have so much sustain and immunity. Very annoying. Like, basically right now the Ophelia is like 1 turn away from having her 3rd skill up again. So it just gives that Theomars like way too many turns to do what a Theomars does best, which is proc, as you guys can see. I think one very important thing when it comes to Siege is also utilizing the support monsters to their fullest potential. Now that means, like, if you look at them, you have like a few units that are amazing for soloing stuff, and then there is a few more very good Cleave supports, namely being the Pralina and also the Dark String Master Myrne. Both of them are like triple S tier for like Lushen Cleave, so if you did get like 1 or 2 more units that are extremely good with those, that's definitely like a instant pickup right there. Blacksmith, I think her name is, and let's go for the Amp Magic. I'm kind of curious how hard my Lushen hits. Yep, that's what Lushen still is good. But what I also would highly recommend, if you are like me and you're kind of like in a shitter guild right now, you do not need to 3-man every single defense. You could technically just run your support Feng Yen and 1v3 certain defenses. That actually gets you an absurd amount of contribution and like a stupid amount of rewards. I've been having sieges where I get like twice the rewards of normal players. I think this could be one that we definitely should be able to solo. So we're just gonna try. I hope we get enough attack bar. Okay, so he has, I think this is the cleanse block or something. Well, doesn't matter. Now we have the revenge buff on ourselves, and he didn't armor break me. So now my main course of action is just gonna be demounting that Masha, because I think at that point he doesn't have any more. Okay, nice freeze. Pretty much the only thing I'm scared of is that Masha, like, overwhelmingly, like, defense breaking me or something like that. Oh, here we go with the revive. I think he should have his revive up, yep. I didn't really want to trigger that, to be honest with you guys. But I also know, like, Masha doesn't have any cooldowns for, like, a little bit. Nice revenge over here. I think Masha should have her second skill coming up. Oh, not quite. Beautiful. So now it's basically GG. That's when you kind of want to know, like, when can I solo people. This Feng Yan is available to everyone. If you are in a shitter guild, technically isn't even my kaki. It's just what the game gives you from, like, the free siege. Can actually do. And let's have a look. We actually do get to kill that Ciara. That's a massive, like, W already right here. And I think I'm just going to focus on her one more time because the bombs are pretty much the only thing that I'm scared of. And I'm not too confident into my Rina yet. But from the looks of it, like, it's very hard to judge usually. But I think we could have maybe even almost soloed it, which is just crazy to think of. I think at this rank is probably best ruined on, like, a triple revenge plus destroy set with high res. That's by far the most important one. And the revenge just because she's barely gonna get a turn. Okay, so one more try. We're gonna try and two-man this. Alright, so we're just gonna use my defense buff. I don't want to deal with too much damage coming up from that Leica. And I think we're gonna try and one-shot. I should have checked if that Tessarian is on Violent or not. That's the thing. But I guess we're gonna focus onto that pony. I want to deal with it. And if we get a Violent proc here, it should already be over. And I'm not quite sure if this is going to trigger. Yep, it does trigger the Franz. Nice revenge, okay. I didn't know that she's on revenge. That's the thing. Alright, we're going to keep hitting. And Fran doesn't have her. Now she does. She has very low cooldowns. And she's been proccing like every single time I've fought this team. So, nice. So her AI didn't actually make her. But now Fran has her second skill, right? Yep. Beautiful revenge. Into another proc. Okay. I guess if it rains, it pours, right? That's what they say. Can we get one proc? Oh, no, we actually outspeed. Beautiful. Justice doesn't do much. And can we get the ammo break right away? We get it, and that's an almost dead Leica. Do we move next? Nope. But we got the Oblivion, and that's a dead Leica. GG. I also used the Riley that I got from the game itself, which is just amazing if you're running like a triple water defense. You can kind of like one-shot that usually. You just kind of need to pay attention at the start, and then you can just auto it usually. It's the same thing with the guild shop as it is with the arena shop, where you kind of want to focus on the mystical scrolls first. But if you're a beginner and you haven't pulled all of the 3 Ifrits, I highly recommend buying the Ifrit summon pieces first. Another thing that I really want to mention is that the Rainbow Mon is extremely outdated, which is a mistake that I've made. Even on my endgame account, I still ended up buying these until I started this beginner guide series and I realized how strong having unknown scrolls is. This one is pretty much worth like 100 unknown scrolls, which as far as I'm concerned is just not worth the guild points anymore. I'm much better off just actually buying mystical scrolls or LD pieces and kind of upgrading it that way. I think that's it when it comes to early game PvP. I cannot wait to play a little bit of RTA on this account as well, which hopefully is going to be amongst the next few episodes. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys kind of found this helpful, even though I didn't end up building all of the defenses on this account just yet. See you guys in the next video. Bye!
Tell me lies are justified, but all I'm hearing is the